I'm going to go ahead and start that recording. So I'd like to welcome everyone today for coming. I'm sorry if I'm breaking up. Our session will be recorded, so you can come back and watch it. Today we have our great Professor of Biology at Rio Grande Campus and Dr. Duarte, who's the assistant. Dr. Jafari, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Sanchez. I really appreciate you. I'm glad that along with my dear colleague and friend, Dr. Trevor Duarte, we are going to give this presentation, and I say hello and welcome to everyone. So with that, I am going to share my PowerPoints to start talking about biology discipline and biology program. So my name is Roshanak Jafari, and I am a faculty in Rio Grande campus in biology department, and I'm glad to do this presentation and talk about the biological science program at EPCC. The name of the program is Biological Sciences, and after completing 60 credit hours, students can get an associate degree of science in biology, and it's usually a 2-year biological science program, and that students, if they would wish, can continue into a bachelor degree program in a university for a 4-year university like UTEP or NSU. Studying of biology is not just some memorization and carrying books and materials like this. It's going to teach us to ask questions, to make observations, to evaluate evidence, to solve problems, to work in a team environment and encourage the teamwork, and make decisions, and also being able to communicate with a lot of people. It's not just that. They can plan, organize, and prioritize work, obtain and process information. They can analyze quantitative and qualitative data and create or edit written reports and influence others through this science, especially regarding the social issues and society issues. For the biology, there are several career passes that biologists can take. They can continue with the research, like this one, to do the research in a lab setting or in a natural environment setting, outdoor, to learn and to understand and to work on natural systems and life science. They can take another path, which is the healthcare, to do some work on public health, or by continuing their educations and going further and further trainings, they can become nurses, doctors, dentists, other healthcare professionals, veterinarian, and etc. They can take this career path, environmental sciences, environmental management, and conservation, and to work in that area, in that field, solve environmental problems and conserve the natural world for future generations through working in jobs in parks, different types of parks, national, state, and local parks, in zoo, in land management offices and wildlife rehabilitation centers. The fourth path is education, to use the knowledge that they have gained in biology to educate people in different environments, indoor, in classroom, or outdoor in the real nature and lab settings. And for this education, they can choose primary, secondary, public schools, colleges, universities, science museums, parks, nature centers, and different environments. Now, there are some other ways that they can use their knowledge of biology when they combine it with the other sciences and other fields and other type of the studying to go to the other directions in biological career pathways. One of them is biotechnology. One of the very interesting fields in biotechnology is genetic engineering, that you know how it is important today, or working in a pharmaceutical field or medical technology as the lab technicians or technologists. The other form of combined science that needs biology knowledge is forensic science. This is a science that is application of science and biological science to the criminal and civil laws. And through this path, they can apply the science and help the law enforcement agencies to discover and process and solve the crime. There is another path here to go to the medical school and medicine and being a forensic pathologist, and finally serve as a medical examiner. In this picture, you can see the developing of a fingerprint, make it visible from latent fingerprint, which is invisible fingerprint. One of the examples of what they do in that path. Political and policy paths, so their knowledge can be used for the legislations and decision makers to decide about the new laws and new biomedical research and environmental protection. And yep, a biologist can serve as policy advocates and political advisor regarding the biological issues. The other path is business and industry, that they can work in pharmaceutical companies to develop new medications, drugs, and doing research and test the new products. Combination with economics is important as well. It's another path, using the knowledge to work with the government and other organizations to study and address economic impacts of the biological issues. Are there any biological issue that has economic impacts? Yes, of course. One of the examples is this pandemic and COVID, and there are others like species extinctions, forest protections, environmental pollutions, rotting of the crops, and many more. The biology can be combined with mathematics, and then this is maybe called bioinformatics or computational biology, that is going to apply techniques to do modeling by using the mathematics, modeling the ecosystems and creating the models for gene sequencing. And the other one is science writing and communications. How come? A biologist can be a journalist later and write for the magazines and for the journals about the biological issues, or they can work with media like National Geographic or Discovery and utilize their knowledge to to work in that area as the journalist. And art, a biologist can be an artist, yes. If they would like the art, there is a combination of that. And there are jobs for that, to draw illustrations with scientific accuracy because of their knowledge, to be employed for the magazines, by the magazines, journals, museums, or to be illustrators of the science textbooks in different areas, especially the biology. Now, what about the salaries? As you see, there are different range of salaries based on the degree that you may have in biology. As you see, the range of the salary increases when the degree is higher. So higher degrees, more income. And also, what income they may have in future, the minimum of this range or maximum depends on the job type, years of experience, and the location of the job. And the potential jobs for associate of science biology degree are these jobs: biology technicians, forest conservation technicians, medical clinical lab technicians, clinical research associate, food inspectors, biofuel technicians, genomic technicians, molecular biology technician, quality assurance specialist, water quality technician, technical services representative, lab assistants, and many more, including pharmaceutical and medical sales, radiologic technologists, and many more. So with that, I came to end of my presentation, and I look forward to any questions if there is any.
Do you want to hold off on questions until I finish talking about my part, and then we can just
sure.
them all together?
So I stopped sharing, and then yes.
Yeah, perfect.
I leave the floor for my colleague, Dr. Duarte. Yes.
All right.
Hello. Okay.
Very cool stuff. So this is great that we have the opportunity to talk about kind of not just careers in biology, but how can we get into a career in biology starting at EPCC? I'd love to say that I started at EPCC. So I have a PhD in pathobiology, but my first biology class as an undergrad was in my mid-20s, and I took that here at EPCC at the Rio Grande campus. I think that there are a number of great opportunities here to begin with, and even to end with, as Dr. Jafari alluded to when she presented the information on the technicians and certificate programs. So what do? As biologists, just like Dr. Jafari said, we're going to ask questions about the world. We're going to try to find those answers for those through research, and then we're going to test to see whether or not we came up with the right answers. This is universally applicable. So you could have a degree in biology, and it's going to teach you the skill set that you need to do a number of different jobs in the private sector, even outside of biology itself. Jobs that require communication, that require both orally and written, and jobs also that require you to have a curiosity or an inquisitiveness to look at something from multiple angles, because really that's what we're training you how to do. Biology is everywhere, right? Everywhere, and it's you know, in all of the beautiful pictures on Unsplash about animals and forests and fungi and all these great things that we interact with on a daily basis, but maybe have limited understanding of. It's also those things that we can't see. So right now we're in the midst of a global pandemic, and that we're confronted with a lot of misconceptions and a lack of understanding on the way that viruses, for example, work, on the way that vaccination works. And these are all things that just as a member of society, an associate's degree in biological sciences would help you to build a better community, right? So apart from talking about career paths, and the salaries that were discussed there on that slide are a fantastic indication of the range of options that exist, but also as kind of a person in the world navigating highly scientific experience that we go through, especially in the midst of a pandemic. And this won't be the only outbreak that we're going to experience in our lifetimes. So the degrees in academia. So I'm going to separate two things, two ideas here. And one is an academic degree and the other is an applied science degree. So EPCC has offerings in both, and I'm really excited that we're going to have a chance to look at EPC's website in a minute and kind of see the offerings that we have for both the applied science side, which I won't talk about too much, as well as kind of the academic research side that will then feed into a traditional pathway for pursuing, say, for example, a master's degree or a PhD. So we begin, of course, with the Associate of Science. Now, it could be achieving the actual degree of the Associate of Science or accumulating a sufficient number of credits to transfer over that to a four-year institution. So we have community colleges and junior colleges that fulfill the role of providing the degree title of Associates of Science, and some junior colleges, as well as private colleges and then universities, offer these four-year Bachelors of Science. From there, a student from the Bachelors of Science, that's really the starting point for the vast majority of the careers that we're talking about. Now, there's a number of technical side jobs that can be done with an associate's degree, especially associates of applied sciences are required. But when you're talking about becoming a park ranger, for example, that's a four-year degree. That's a Bachelor of Science. If you wanted to work in most laboratories as a laboratory technician, usually they're going to be asking you to have a Bachelor's of Science. So we start here and then we move on to the transfer schools. From there, masters and PhDs. Now, I want to just take a moment to talk about the accessibility of the master's and the PhD program, because oftentimes students, when they're starting out, those things may seem daunting. I know it was to me to think, I'm not going to do a PhD. How am I going to do that? I come from a family that are not academic. I started college very late in life. And how is it that I'm going to go into this path that seems like for people that are kind of certified smart? And that's not really the case. The one thing about masters and PhDs that a lot of people don't realize is that oftentimes you're going to get a tuition waiver from the institution. Now, our local institutions don't often offer these, but many institutions throughout the country are going to offer tuition waivers to their students who are pursuing masters and PhDs. So that pays the tuition, and then you work as a teaching assistant at that time in the department that you're pursuing that degree in. So the master's and the PhD are essentially like, I have a question about something that I want to answer, and I'm going to do the experimentation to find out the answer to that. So I'm going to have focus in. So you can think of this, like the way the dropdown works here is the associates is this really broad idea of biology in general. And then the bachelor's degree is going to build upon that, and it's going to throw in a little bit more detail and a little bit more advanced concepts in biology, and that's very broad understanding. And then the master's degree is going to get very specific into one general category, right? And then the PhD even more refined and more specific into one thing. So I often tell my students, I have a PhD in pathobiology. I know a whole lot about protozoan parasite and the way it causes infection and the lipid profile of that parasite. I don't know a whole lot about the COVID-19 virus, right? So I know a lot, like a very lot about one specific field, and that's kind of the idea of the doctorate. So if you're even thinking about going into this, keep that in mind, that it's a stepwise process and it's accessible to everybody because you start at the beginning and then you work your way up towards the end. Let's take a look at some of the offerings that EPCC has. So I'm going to stop this share, and then I'm just going to jump over really fast into sharing the screen instead. And let's see if I just go back into, this is the part where, application window, no, not that one, I'm going to do this one. Okay, so the EPCC catalog has a number of programs of study. So if you don't remember anything of what I'm saying right now, you can always just Google this, EPCC programs of study, and this beautiful web page is going to come up. And you can choose the areas of study that you're interested in. So for example, if we're interested in STEM specifically, so these are fields that you're going to take when you want to go into research, for example, or if you're interested in pursuing going into medical school after your degree. You would come here to biological sciences. And in the biological sciences, it's going to show us the program that we offer here, and you can even go into looking at the program website, which I have here. So the program website shows kind of a general information about our biological sciences degree, as well as the degree plan itself. And notice some of the courses that you're going to take. I'm going to look at these a little bit more, not too much in detail, but in a minute we're going to talk about these. So you have biological science 2. That's kind of not very specific. Is it like, what am I going to be learning about in those classes? And then there's a couple of other elective biology classes, biology elective, and they say, oh, those are going to be 1411 and 2421. What is that even? So we're going to talk about those in just a minute. But let's say you were interested in health sciences instead. If you were interested in health sciences and you wanted to start off right away, it wouldn't necessarily be a STEM degree. It would be an associate's probably of applied sciences. There's a lot of great opportunities in the health careers here that I'm not going to have a chance to talk about, but I highly recommend if you are interested in that. These are like paramedics, or if you wanted to be a dental hygienist or a dental assistant or a nursing assistant, or even the nursing program, right? That's here in applied sciences. So I highly recommend checking those out and seeing the degree plans for those. Many of my students are entering into the applied sciences. They're interested in going into the nursing program, and so they're concerned about ranking in their classes. But today, I'm kind of focusing my attention on what do you do as a biologist, specifically the Associates of Science in Biology, and then the Bachelors of Science in Biology. Oh, I think I started. Let's do a little bit later on. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do as you join the program is we're going to kind of lay the foundation for you. We're going to tell you about the molecules that exist inside of living systems, what it is to be alive, and we're going to talk a lot about cells, because cells are the smallest unit of life. And so that's the first semester course, is cell biology. After we tell you about cells, we're going to move in. We're going to tell you all about how those cells grow up, and either they live on their own by themselves, and sometimes they get you sick, and sometimes they fix nitrogen for plants, and sometimes they help the soil, help trees communicate like mycorrhizal fungi do. And then we're going to tell you about multicellular eukaryotic organisms, like the plants and the animals, and those fun things. Elective courses include microbiology for majors, where you learn all about bacteria and viruses and protozoan parasites, like the one I studied for my PhD. We also have electives in botany offered throughout EPCC, so you can learn all about how plants grow. I took a number of botany classes as an undergraduate. I know very well how plants grow, but my wife can tell you I don't know how to grow plants. So it's not applied for me, but we do study how the mechanisms are and how plants relate to the world around us. And then, not part of the degree plan, but definitely options that we have here at EPCC are some excellent anatomy and physiology courses where we teach you about how the human body works. So we have a lot of the foundational work for biology. Now, as a student, it's really important, like if you were an artist, you would pick up a paintbrush within your first couple of semesters, right? And so it's important to us as educators to put a pipette into the hands of people. And at EPCC, we offer a number of course-based undergraduate research experiences where the labs for those general biology courses have actually been designed to work on active research in the laboratory, either through partnerships with UTEP or NMSU, or our own investigations at EPCC. And so what does that mean? It means that you'll be growing up cells, you'll be treating cells with inhibitors, or analyzing things under the microscope, or looking for specific sequences of DNA. So actual lab experiments that we don't know the answers to yet, and you'll find them as part of the coursework. Now, if you want to get paid for this, and I highly advocate anytime as a student, look for the paid opportunities. If you are working on campus, it's been shown, a number of studies have shown that's going to significantly improve the grades. If you're working on campus and in the field that you're studying, there's even stronger evidence of completion rates being higher, of grade point averages being higher, and of opportunities for continuation, like persistence and grit being higher. So I highly recommend getting into a lab. If it's on a volunteer benefit or pathway, fine, but if you can get paid for it, even better. And we have two very large opportunities at EPCC for that. One is the Bridges to the Baccalaureate program, and that's a paid internship. You work with a UTEP professor or mentor throughout the semester, and then throughout a summer internship, and then they give you money to travel to conferences. We have another one, that Rise to the Challenge Bridge program. It's another of these. They're both transfer programs. They're both designed to get you into a lab here and to give you contacts at a university, a local university. And the Rise to the Challenge program offers those partnerships with not just UTEP, but also NMSU. And most of the details are fairly similar. So if you're interested in those, definitely reach out to the EPCC resources page where we have more information on those. I'm about out of time here, so I'll just say that usually you're going to transfer to a four-year institution. And from there, you'll choose whether you're going to be a microbiologist or a cellular and molecular biochemist, right? And then from there, you'll decide, do I want to pursue a master's degree? Do I want to pursue a PhD? I had a colleague when I was doing my PhD, she had chosen to, instead of continuing to the PhD, she took her master's. She went and got a job at a pharmaceutical company, and she's very happy with that decision that she made. So these opportunities, maybe we make the decisions on the advanced degrees once we have gotten our feet wet. There are many ways to study life. There's cell biology, there's virology, there's developmental biology, but then there's also things that we might not think of, right? Like astrobiology or studying biomimicry. How does nature solve engineering problems and how we can use those answers in our own designs? What about design itself? How do we design a rooftop garden? That's also biology. How does somebody design the specific instruments that are being used in hospitals around the world? Those are all biological design. How do we design healthcare systems even? So public health, also science writing, ecology, climate science. These are all in our purview. So as you're thinking about what a biologist does, what does a biologist not do? I think is a better question, because we are everywhere. And you might not even know the positions or the opportunities exist. There are jobs coming at me every day. I'm thinking, wait, you work at an airport and you just look at exotic animals all day? Or you're up at White Sands and you're making sure that no endangered plants are being harmed at the next missile that gets exploded? So there are a number of opportunities out there that you might not know about yet, but if you keep your eyes and your ears open, you will soon. All right, that's what I've got.
Yes, that was great. Or being in White Sand and look for some creatures that are look like with the ones that can be found in the other planets.
Right, exactly.
One research that they are doing in white sand, and that is very interesting.
The actual NASA research for
Yes.
astrobiology, right? Like, how do we find
Yes.
alternate life forms? That's all.
Yes.
Those are all real questions, not science fiction. Very cool stuff.
Yes.
So I guess that's our time. I don't want to take any time away from the chefs for their presentation, but if there are any questions, maybe we can answer.
Well, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? I do. I have one. So if someone is interested, I see you all have a biology club.
We do have a biology club, and I think that, I think the point of contact for that is still Ms. Franco, but I'm not sure. Dr. Jafari, do you know who the contact is for the biology club?
I'm not sure who is the contact person for that, but I know that we have a biology club that is active, and they do some activities, and they have some members. Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Some
So
really
that
exciting
if
stuff
anyone's
that we clean up.
interested.
I think that they actually they've got a section of, I'm pretty sure it's Donovan, or there's got a section of road that they actually they volunteer their time for cleaning up and stuff. So they've got a lot going on there.
Great. No, thank you so much. And that was a great presentation. I appreciate it. If anybody's interested, we also have our counselor, Miss Vanessa Bertato Monroy. She'll be able to answer any questions you may have about, going into the programs and how to find out how to become a biology major and what you can do with that. So if you all have any questions, she is here as well. And I thank you, Dr. Duarte and Dr. Jafari, for being here today as well. So thank you again.
No,
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure, of course. Thank you. And we do have another career to talk about as well today. We have Chef Guerra and Chef Nickerson here from our culinary arts. So whenever you're ready, Chef Guerra and Chef Nickerson, it's all yours.
All right. All right. Do you have the PowerPoint presentation for us, or?
Yes, let me go ahead and put that up for you.
Awesome. I'm Chef Guerra. Before she's getting that set up, we have Chef Nickerson on the line, who's also going to help and chime in with some stuff. Hopefully you can kind of see the product that we're working with today. We're going to go through and actually make a quick salad that we would make in our international cuisine. This is our tabbouleh salad that we would be making in here. Fresh herbs and stuff like that, straight out of our garden, tomatoes, cucumbers, all sorts of stuff. We'll make that recipe available to you as well. And we're going to go ahead and get started on this. In the culinary arts program, we actually do have 3 different degree plans that you can follow. So on the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that room right there. That's the room I'm actually standing in right now. That's our pastry, our advanced pastry shop. 1309 is where our restaurant management students practice in the front of the house with the guests. And then the kitchen folks are the ones that are in the culinary arts program with the savory cooking. So you see some examples there. All right, so yeah, I already kind of covered that a little bit for you all. We can see the different areas there. So these are some examples of classes. This is basically the degree plan that you take. You can get that done in under 2 years if you end that summer in the 3rd semester and you knock out all 3 of those classes. You can definitely be done ahead of time. So like I said, we have our basics classes. They're all the same in all 3 degree plans. So as we go through here and you see these 3 degree plans, you're going to see that first semester is exactly the same for all 3 of them, no matter which degree you're going into. And then from there, we spread out the program. So you'll see in this section, we talked about international cuisine. We'll have American regional cuisine. And then you start doing classes in the restaurant. So professional cooking and meal service is actually a restaurant class. So is the food service management, where you're going to be working with customers in the front of the house. And then you'll go into a la carte, which is another restaurant class, and the garde-manger and saucier. So garde-manger, this could also be considered, our salad that we're working with today could be considered garde-manger because we serve this cold. Garde-manger just refers to the cold kitchen. And like a lot of other degree plans here at the college, you're going to have to do some practicum hours or 210 hours of field experience in a kitchen. We got our pastry degree plan. So that basics class that we talked about, we basically break that class down into a bunch of other classes. So you can see that right after you finish your basics, You come back and make pies, tarts, tea, cakes, and cookies. Bakery operations management is practicing everything that you've already learned in that basics class. And then that third semester, you do advanced pastry shop, which this class is probably a lot of students' favorite class. They make different chocolates, confections, sugar sculptures, all sorts of fun stuff in there. And then again, they keep going on down the classes where they do their breads and rolls, laminated doughs, more experience here in this program as well. And then your Mexican breads and pastries. So if you walked into Bowie Bakery today, everything that they have in there, we kind of cover and discuss, and we actually make it with our students. Plated desserts is another really fun class where the students just make a bunch of different components from everything that they learned up until that point and make one full plated dessert. So you can see some examples down there at the bottom. And then the restaurant management degree plan, I'm going to let Chef Nickerson talk about that a little bit, and I'm going to get to chopping some parsley so we can continue on. We don't overtake the hour that we have. Okay, Chef?
Great. Yes, thank you, Chef Guetta. So like Chef Guetta said too, in this class, you do start with the same core courses, the basic food, the safety and sanitation, and the fundamentals of baking. So all the students do get the experience with savory cooking, sweet or pastry, and then also the safety and sanitation element. It applies to whatever career direction that you're going to go within this field. We also have a number of students, so you're looking at a degree plan here, that will get their associates in applied science in 2 years, but they really enjoy one of the other degrees. So they will spend some time and they will go ahead and maybe get a 1-year certificate in one of the other degree plans or an entire second associate's degree. With the restaurant management plan, they do also do more work with the introduction of the hospitality industry, the nutrition. They also have casino and the gaming industry courses as well. And then they get into their 4th and 5th semester where they have a lot of the front of the house service that they do in the 1309 restaurant, which is a student-run restaurant that we do have paying customers that do come in. We'll talk a little bit more about it later on in the presentation. But in the restaurant management plan, we do have the viticulture and enology class and the food and wine pairing class, which are two of the students' more favorite ones. We do grow grapevines at the ASCB building, and we do harvest them, press them, make wine out of those grapes themselves. And you have the food and wine pairing class where the students are able to do a lot of wine tasting in order to learn the depth and the components and how to talk about wine and how to sell wine and how to talk to guests about wine. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, how to prepare. Did you want to jump in on this, Chef? Or Vanessa for the admissions?
Sure, I can go ahead and talk about it. Yes, so of course, to be admitted as a student, you would to the www.appliedtech.org website. Once you apply, the admissions will contact with you after they have reviewed your application, and then they email you a student ID number. With that student ID number, then cannot contact the counselor because with the student ID number, we'll go ahead and look at any transcript. If there were a transfer student. If not, if there were like a credit student, we can go ahead and look at that. It just helps us get a better idea of where the student was coming from. And we can go ahead and also provide a kind of referral for tests if they need to take the PSI. And then them after they've tested, we usually ask them for their classes.
Great, thank you. As far as preparing for your culinary career in your first year academic career in the program, one, you just need to have, like it says, the openness to learn and the openness to just like take the feedback that you're getting from your chef instructors, because we are all striving to make all of you better and to make all of you, you need to learn and grow throughout the program as a whole. Also, it's very important within the culinary and food service industry that you need to be able to work together as a team with other students. And a lot of the activities that you do and a lot of the lab work is team-based. Currently during the pandemic, we do have the students are doing a lot of the lab objectives by themselves and not working directly with other students due to the restrictions that we do have. But that is a big part of the industry itself, is being part of the team and also being self-motivated. You need to be able to push yourself to be better, to be able to push yourself to reach that next step. No one's really going to do any of that stuff for you. You have to go out and strive for that, like that next career step, to strive for the next position that you're going for. And also, it is a high pressure environment. You can be in a restaurant in the kitchen and have like 20 people sit down at once and a whole bunch of tickets come in, and that's a lot of food that starts to need to get made, and there's going to be a lot of pressure, and you need to be able to work quickly. I'm sure everyone has been in a restaurant where they've sat there forever waiting for food, and they look around. It doesn't seem like anyone in that restaurant is moving with any kind of sense of urgency at all, and just having that mental and physical stamina or toughness to meet the demanding work periods that you do have. A lot of shifts can be up to 10 hours long. That's 10 hours on your feet in a kitchen in a hot environment. It is a very difficult career. It is a very demanding career, but it is a very satisfying and rewarding career. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so that one's good right there. So with the facilities, you can see on the top left, the 1309, that is the restaurant that we do have. That is student run. And then you have pictures of two of the kitchens. The one at the top is a basics kitchen, where you will start out with your intro courses, and then the culinary arts degree students will be in there. Pre-pandemic, we would do a 15-to-1 student to instructor ratio. Right now, with the spacing requirements that we do have, we are doing 5-to-1. And the picture below that is the advanced pastry kitchen. So if you are going to be a pastry student, that's where you're going to spend the majority of your life in the program. I believe that's the kitchen that Chef Guetta is in right now. So with 1309, guests do come in and they do sit down, they order off a menu and pay. And that all is a part of preparing students to go out into the industry. And during the pandemic, we've adapted like everyone else has. We are doing a curbside dinner program where guests are able to place their order over the phone or via email, and they get a 3-course meal, and they pick it up at the doors to the ASCB building at the top. So we are still trying to take the experience for the students working in the restaurant and convert it to what is going on now and a lot of what they're going to be encountering when they go out into the industry itself. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so that's a picture from inside the kitchen itself with some of the students that are in there pre-pandemic and that. And moving on to Dine and Dash. So Dine and Dash is what falls under Student Culinary Services, or that falls under my area of the Culinary Arts program. And this is a lunch cafe. It does breakfast and lunch Monday through Friday during the week. We are hoping to reopen sometime in the future coming up. But the practicum or work experience hours that Chef Guetta referenced earlier, that is, they do the majority of their work in this cafe. All the items that we sell there are all made by the students. They're all made in the labs, and then they are available to the general public. So students are able to get the experience of working with guests, working with the customer service, and selling the items that they are making in their classes. Can we go to the next slide, please? And also with the the events one, yes. Okay, so with the events, that is also part of the Student Culinary Services, and also the Culinary Club does participate in these as well. And these events could be anywhere from a breakfast for 6 up to a sit-down dinner for 200 people. So if you are interested in catering and that's what you want to do, you can definitely come in, do these events with myself and a lot of the other chefs that do participate in the events, and see if you do enjoy them, enjoy that kind of work. Because you might find that you enjoy the restaurant more and you want to do something else within the culinary arts field. Okay, the Green Advantage. Chef Guetta, did you want to jump in, or did you want to go into your demo right now before we move on?
Sure, I'll do a little bit of both. I'm not sure
Okay,
if somebody's changing slides on me, though. I keep trying to get them back to where you're at, and then they keep moving on their own. So I'm not sure if access and they're messing with me. So what we're doing here is we're actually setting up the tabbouleh salad. And what we've done is we've taken our bulgur wheat, which is a dry grain when it comes in, and we've added vegetable stock to this. So you can use water, but obviously we want to incorporate more flavor, and we went with the vegetable stock. I just finished chopping up parsley. These are all things that we grow in the garden pretty easily. We have our green onions here, which we grow chives, all sorts of different types of green onions and stuff like that in the garden. The only thing we don't really grow well is the lemons and the lemon juice. So you'll see cucumbers in our garden, you'll see tomatoes, mint, and the parsley. And garbanzo beans we don't grow either, but all of them do have available to us. We could actually also get the fish out of the garden, which we use in our aquaponics system, which actually does tie directly with biology. So we talked about having rooftop gardens and things like that. We actually do have a garden out in the back area that is powered by solar panels that have batteries, so that if, let's say that we are disconnected from the grid for some reason, the fish tanks continue to operate and we don't have a bunch of dead fish. So that's also really nice from that initial grant that we got with the Green Advantage from the USDA and NIFA. And so now Chef Nickerson actually got another grant with the USDA and NIFA to continue that work. We also had another sub-award through UTEP, working with their engineering department, so we can develop a water reclamation system. So we actually do have water that comes off of our greenhouse, and our goal and our hope is to capture that water and reuse it in the garden, whether it's with the fish tanks or with the actual gardening beds that you see in that picture, and both of those pictures on the edges of the PowerPoint presentation. So with that garden, we also have paid internships, I guess you can say, which we pay in stipends through those grants. So those grants are set up so that we pay our students $1,000 per semester to help us out with that and doing classes like this. But they do them more geared toward the high school students and helping with the recruitment and getting students involved in our programs. So the Green Advantage has a bunch of to it. It works out really well for our students, and it also kind of opens their eyes to other career opportunities within food. Food is all encompassing, right? So we could open up a restaurant, and if any of you have been to like Artavino's Desert Crossing, they hire a bunch of our students, but they also have their own tomato patch. They have their own chicken coop where they get their eggs from. So it's important for students to know and understand the process of getting that food, and we make sure we cover it within our program in several of the classes, and Chef Nickerson's new grant is going to expand the coverage of those processes throughout the curriculum for our students. I actually do have Zeke here. You want to talk about your ice carvings?
Sure. We do sell ice carvings to the public. We start off around $150 and up. It depends on what you guys want. We do a lot of the ice carvings for the in-house events, like you see on your left-hand side of Dragon. And on the right-hand side, it was a partnership with Texas Tech and EPCC. And in the middle picture is me working on the ice carvings. We do get students in there from Garbage Day and show them how to do a little bit of all the ice carvings. The blocks that I use weigh about 400 pounds. It takes anywhere from 3 to 4 days to complete the process of the ice.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. So yeah, we do have a nice CNC machine back there that we purchased with some grant funds as well, and we use that to kind of give us the templates of what we're working with, and then we go through and we do the finer detail ourselves by hand. Employment opportunities. So that was one example of an employment opportunity. We have tons of employment opportunities right now, spanning all the way from Van Horn to Las Cruces. Folks are calling me and emailing me and asking me for students. Unfortunately, our workforce is pretty diminished after the pandemic or during the pandemic. And so we do have a lot of different restaurants that come in and ask us for help. So these are some of the different jobs that they're looking for to fill in, depending on what degree plan you're completing. It's specific to those degree plans. So now, can you go from being a culinary arts major and go do work in a pastry shop? Absolutely. We're going to give you those basic fundamentals for you to learn, but these are more specific positions. And you can see that those hourly rates have been climbing. They've been climbing steady in El Paso. You know, I'm going to probably date myself here, but when I first started in this industry, the minimum wage was like $5 and change or something like that. So it's definitely changed a lot. There are restaurants, hotels. I mean, they don't just pay you with money. Even some of the hotels will pay you by giving you perks to their hotels. So let's say you decide you and your family want to go and take a trip somewhere nice in Cancun or something. Then you get with your hotel, you make your reservation, and you pay very low rates to go on that trip. So they also pay in other ways other than just monetarily.
Yes, and Chef Guetta, we have a question from Sandra Wood. Do you offer classes for the community?
Great question, absolutely. So we do have continuing ed classes coming up. You should be seeing those coming out. I don't know if they're putting them in the community announcements. I know for sure that they are sharing them on Facebook through the EPCC website. They have all those classes coming up. We are going to have, I believe it's like French pasta, beginner French, advanced French, grilling. We have a variety of classes offered here with us, and we also have some of our graduates teaching over at Valladolid campus in that kitchen as well. So you can sign up for the continuing ed classes. I do believe they've also dropped the price of the classes. So in this case, now we need 6 students to register for a class, and they're very specific classes to whatever you're looking for, whatever you think you might be interested in, and you can go ahead and register for them through the EPCC website. Good question. Oh, I didn't mean to skip pastry. But these are some examples again, the pastry jobs that you might be able to find. So very specifically, chocolatiers. I have seen chocolates coming up very, very steadily as well. So if you go to places like Bella Cora, even that new hotel downtown, the Plaza, the Pioneer Plaza, that hotel as well. And so those positions are getting filled by our graduates, which is awesome. I think basically 80 or 90% of Bella Cora's staff is graduates or students of our program, and they do all of these things that are listed here. And it's very important for our students to be versatile, or for you to be versatile, or if you're like me and you have a little bit of ADD, then it's good to have things that keep you working, right? You might be sitting there decorating cookies or cake or something, and you get a little bit bored and the customer walks in. Well, now you got to be the cashier, right? So good experience, lots of opportunity out there for our students. And then the restaurant management. And this one's a little bit very similar to what we've been seeing in the other two, but there's other areas, right? I mean, we could even become like a sommelier. I do have my certification in WSET, so I'm a level 1 right now. But we can get those certifications to say, hey, I know what I'm talking about when I talk to you about wine. Do you prefer something that's a little drier, acidic, sweeter? What are you looking for? Something balanced, something new world, something old world, something very heavy and tannins. So those are things that we will teach you about. It's on you to go and practice and make yourself a little bit better. But we definitely do introduce you to all of these things that we're talking about and all the different classes that we offer, no matter which degree plan you're following or going through. Do we have any questions at this point, or Chef Nickerson, did I miss anything?
I think you got it all, Chef. I mean, we also have we have students that are like transferring to NMSU right now. They're looking to go into the nutrition program up there. So there are definitely university transfer opportunities coming out of the culinary area. Where UTEP is setting up a BAS program right now that would have a direct link to that. And with the traditional careers that you think of with culinary, just going down to restaurants, working in a restaurant, working doing catering. We do also have food and beverage directors that we have a recent graduate has just started to do that. You do education, like myself and Chef Guetta and Ezekiel do in there. So there are a wide variety of opportunities. But like we said earlier, it just has to do with you need to go out and you need to go for it. And you have to want it. And you have to put in the effort and the work to get there, because no one's really going to come in and find you and hand it to you.
Absolutely. Great, Chef. Thank you for bringing that up again. The Texas Tech also, we do have a partnership in the works that should be hopefully done by August, so that our students can transfer over and get their BAS as well through their RIM program, which is Retail, Hospitality, and Institutional Management. So there's lots of opportunities. UTEP's looking at doing their BASs in 3 different areas, one in regular management, another one in food and culture, nutrition, and there's a third one that I cannot recall off the top of my head. Like I said, we're still working on this. We've had 1 meeting with them so far, but we're trying to get that ball up and running and get those opportunities for our students to further their education. Do we have any other questions? All right, so on that tabbouleh salad, I already threw everything in here, mixed it all together. All the recipe ingredients are in there, so that you might be able to get those through Gail here. And what we want to do with this salad is actually leave it out at room temperature for about 30 minutes, let those flavors all mix in together and meld. Then we can throw it in the refrigerator and serve it later on, or you can eat it right at room temperature and it's ready to go. Awesome, thank you. And don't get tied into the recipe. You don't have to follow it. If you don't like mint, then don't worry about it. Don't put mint in there. If you prefer to mix in different grains, like let's say you made quinoa the night before instead, and you want to use that and make yourself a quinoa tabbouleh salad, you're more than welcome to do something like that as well. If you prefer to make it a little bit more Southwest and you want to put something like a pico de gallo in there and put some jalapeno and cilantro in there, of course you can do that. I mean, it's your recipe, your guide, and just use it as a guide and play with it.
Thank you so much. That's great. Does anybody have questions? So I have a question now. You said that you all have been serving curbside. I've been seeing that. Do we have any more coming up this semester, or we're done for this semester?
Oh, we're going to continue on. We just did the first one, so we have 5 more weeks left of serving
Great.
curbside.
Okay. So you'll be announcing that through the community announcements?
Yes, we'll have the new menu out Monday.
Nice. Okay, I know Carlos had just mentioned that it was delicious, that he had taken part in that last week.
Awesome,
So,
very good. Thank you for your support, Carlos.
and I know that you all started out at Trans Mountain, I guess, and you want to talk about the 1309?
Sure. So I actually started out when currently Dean Webb took over as coordinator of the program back in 2000. So I was a student back then, and he had us kind of about 16 of us in there. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad the shrimp was good. He had about 16 of us in there, and we grew the program up. I think to one point we were at about 600 concurrently enrolled students. And so, you know, we got that program up and running. We were able to move over here. They built us, I think it's 8 or 9 kitchens total. It's a lot to keep track of. But when we moved over here, we were setting up the restaurant. It was about 3/4 of the way built, and then we realized, hey, we don't have a name for our restaurant. So we went to the students. This is a student-run program. They make all the decisions that are, you know, that they can. So things like what they do with the tip money when you all come in and eat dinner at 1309 or order lunch at the Dine and Dash, they vote on that, and they voted year in and year out for the last 21 years to put those funds into a scholarship account. So we actually do offer our students scholarships every year based off those tips that we've accumulated. So those go directly back to the students. So when we were doing that, we talked to the students about the name of the restaurant. We got a lot of funny names, a lot of weird names, some inappropriate names. And so we ultimately decided on taking 1309 because every class that we registered for at Trans Mountain was room number 1309. So we took a regular classroom, like some of y'all might be teaching math or history in, and we would throw tables and tablecloths and flowers and dress it up and make it look like a little restaurant. And we would serve about 30 to 40 guests on a daily basis when we did open up for service back then, with an old school cash register, no POS system like we have now, where our students learn how to process credit card transactions, cash, checks, gift certificates that you might find also. So those are the things that we kind of took from 1309 over at Trans Mountain, and we made it here in our 1309 and built it up so that our students had a better experience and more knowledge.
This is great. You guys are doing a lot of great things and teaching them everything they'll ever need to know. So you guys, great job.
Thank you. We also have been participating in Chef's Share. We're coming up on 2,500 meals that we've served to our students that are in need over the course of the last year. I think we're coming up on a year next week. So we've definitely been doing a lot of things here, keeping our students busy, making sure they get the practice that they need for the times as they've changed.
That's great. No, thank you so much. And thank you to both you and Chef Nickerson for being here today. I really appreciate it. And thank you. I've gotten a request for that tabbouleh recipe, and I'm going to go ahead and put it back up so that everybody can see it again. And Miss Bertona Monroy, how would they get started if they're interested in going into culinary arts? What's the best place for them to contact if they want some more information from someone?
Absolutely. So they could contact me or Chef Guerra or Chef Nickerson to our email. I'm wondering, Chef Guerra or Chef Nickerson, if we could give Gail our a page. We have a document with all of our emails and links so that she can if that's possible. So it would be through email right now, since we're still working virtually. We'll see in the fall, but it would be through email. And then I also have, or I also work on WebEx virtually 3 days out of the week. So they can also log on there and talk to me live as well.
Thank you so much. So if anyone's interested, please go to the EPCC page. You click on menu and there's a little search bar. You can put in counseling and you can go in there and get connected and talk to a counselor if you're interested in either the biology or culinary arts. They're waiting there so that you can talk to them. And I'm also putting in the chat, you'll see Chef Guetta and Chef Nickerson have put their email addresses. So there's another way to contact them. I'm also sorry, I've been muted. Thank you all so much for participating. I thank you all for putting your contact information in the chat. I have invite you to go visit the counselors at the Get Connected page. On the counseling page, go to menu, click on menu and go to the search bar and you can put counseling and it'll take you straight to their page where you can go and get connected and talk to counselors about both biology and culinary arts. And they can share that information with you. I've put the Tejano passport code in the chat also so that you can get points for the medallion for the Tejano passport program and also a survey. And the counselor, Ms. Bertada Monroy, has also put her email as well in the chat. So I invite you for next week on Wednesday. We're going to be having a presentation on Wednesday at 1 from Prep to Rank, Nursing and Health Programs, the TSI and T's help. And then next Friday, we'll have more career workshops on computer science and business careers. So I hope you all have a great weekend and thank you all for coming today.